Hello, everybody. How are you doing on this fine Thursday? I am doing quite well. I got to be honest, I started taking vitamin D and vitamin K supplements, and it's really done a great number on my mood. So today's video is going to be a little bit different in the format. I really tried to get away with not appearing on camera for this video. Like I've been really liking doing the ones where I'm off camera because it's like just less like of a production, quite literally. But this one I just realized like I need to talk through some of these parts. So for the most part, like this me isn't going to be talking quite as much as usual videos. The previous me that already recorded this video in the microphone is going to be doing a lot of the talking because I already made most of the points I wanted to make. But there's a couple things in here that I just feel like we need to be face to face, and I need to let y'all know from my mouth, in my face, and my whole presence exactly what I feel about it. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. As always, this is not legal advice, this is not legal opinion. This is for informational purposes, news purposes, and if you're entertained by this, entertainment purposes only.
Lima, welcome back.
Thank you, Mark.
So you've become an expert on how to help people. You did such a great job with Amanda.
Amanda had been in treatment prior.
Okay. So the first little category we're going to talk about is going to be Amanda's diagnosis and her healthcare information. Now, what you're going to hear Lima say is something about it being unfortunate that Amanda's healthcare information was leaked. I don't want to say too much here because already addressed it. So let's just see what's going on. But that's the first category we're talking about here.
She was misdiagnosed several times. She had a bunch of different diagnoses because she was on hold for like 3 days, 2 days. She had a diagnosis of schizophrenia, which when she went into the treatment center and she had a longer period of time, they were looking at her baseline. They're like, she doesn't have schizophrenia. The schizophrenia was drug-induced. These are all details that prior I was hesitant to give out, but since her medical information's been shared all over the internet, which is unfortunate, it's public information now.
I got to stop the tapes right here, right now, because the way that Lima just put that made it seem like the quote haters and the quote witch hunters are the ones that made it public knowledge that Amanda had a diagnosis of schizophrenia. And that's simply not true. Let's take a trip down memory lane on Soft White Underbelly and see some of the very many times that Amanda's schizophrenia diagnosis was discussed. And mind you, all of this was said before I ever started looking into this story.
And then after a few months.
Okay, so y'all see what I mean? Like I was trying to just make this be the video, but I had to talk more with my hands in my face. I had to do the Steve-O on y'all. So that what you just saw was from September 9th, 2022. Now, of course, I don't know when it was actually filmed, but it was published September 9th. So this what you're looking at here is Lima and Larry, that's Amanda's dad, talking about Amanda 2 years ago. Okay, so let's hear what Larry, Amanda's father, who a lot of the critics of me want me to believe. Everybody wants me to believe this man. So let's listen to what he has to say.
Months of not seeing her. She had established some new friends that I never met. I had her diagnosed, and it was schizophrenia bipolar. Okay. And that was like September of 2016.
Okay.
These are all details that prior I was hesitant to give out, but since her medical information's been shared all over the internet, which is unfortunate. It's public information now.
There was one time that you might remember, I was trying to take her to the clinic to get the prescription for her schizophrenia, for the medication she needed.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And as soon as she figured out that I wasn't taking her to my studio, she backs her legs up and she's going to kick the windows out of my car to get out of a moving vehicle. It's like, so I had to let her out.
Hesitant to give out.
And she's been in jail for how long? About a month, right?
About a month, 6 weeks.
And no crack, right?
No crack.
Has she been taking her schizophrenia medication?
Yes.
Hesitant to give out.
Oh, okay.
I talked to her clinician, a nurse Gomez. He's very accommodating. He said she's cooperating, eating, talking to him, taking her med.
Her medical information's been shared all over the internet, which is unfortunate.
And you've been You've also been taking all kinds of crazy medications that probably screwed with your diet as well.
Yeah, the medicine made me gain weight. The medicine made me gain weight. The medicine made me gain weight that I was taking.
What they were giving you in jail?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're off that now.
Yeah, I'm off that.
Hesitant to give out her medical information's been shared all over the internet, which is unfortunate.
Good for you.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe. It's like I'm talking to a entirely different person.
You are. I mean, no more schizophrenia, no more crack, no more in the streets. Schizophrenia is a true demon. And if you have schizophrenia, you gotta stop using so that you can see your true diagnosis and your true mental illness, because they can't diagnose you if you're on drugs. So you have to get off drugs first. And once I got off drugs, the schizophrenia just went away. So it was drug-induced schizophrenia.
So you see your problem as, yes, you were addicted to crack, but you were also schizophrenic from the crack?
Right, it was from the crack. Once I stopped smoking crack, it went away.
You said it about your dad that one time, and I left it in because I didn't know who you were or your dad, and you were just some little street urchin that came into my studio with with no bra on, no shirt on even.
No shirt, no nothing.
Hesitant to give out her medical information's been shared all over the internet, which is unfortunate.
So I would like to take this opportunity to actually agree with something Lima said. She said that Amanda's healthcare information had been shared all over the internet, and so now it's public. But what she left out is the quote, witch hunters are not the ones who shared this information at first instance. It was actually Larry Rabb, Mark Leta, and Amanda herself. Amanda herself even said, look, I was on drugs. It was schizophrenia was somehow induced by drugs. And now I am not having those symptoms anymore. So even that part had already been disclosed to Mark's audience by Amanda Rabb, her own self. And the video that she said that in has more than 2 million views. So it wasn't no witch hunters or anybody like that who actually put this information out on the internet. It was Mark, Larry Rabb, and Amanda herself. Okay. So I think I pretty much said what I needed to say on that part. It's just kind of like not surprising at all, but sort of misleading, because Lima's whole spiel and basically the whole video is essentially an indictment on the witch hunters who are looking into the circumstances surrounding Amanda's passing. And she's like, unfortunately, since it's been shared all over the internet, it's like, girl, come on, please pick something else to be mad about, because it's very obvious that Amanda Rabb's healthcare information was shared all over the internet way before people started looking into the circumstances surrounding her passing. And it's just disingenuous to pretend like in any way that was somebody else's fault other than the people who were on soft white underbelly telling us that information or asking Amanda to share that information with us. Anyway, I just wanted to get that small thing out of the way. We're just going to kind of go in order, I guess. I mean, I have a lot more to say, but let's keep moving. So the next thing we're going to talk about is whether or not Amanda was in a conservatorship or a guardianship, and Past Me has already talked about it, so I'm just going to let Past Me take it away. Now, there is a whole bunch of confusion and hubbub surrounding and around whether or not Amanda Rabb was in a conservatorship or a guardianship. She was not in a conservatorship or a guardianship, but Lima and Larry did try to implement one. And you're going to hear Lima tell you in her own words right now what the real truth is behind a conservatorship and a guardianship, and that's that they're exactly the same thing, because they assign the rights of one person to another person, and sometimes a complete stranger.
What we were trying to do was file what's called an LPS conservatorship. It's the equivalent of a guardianship. An LPS conservatorship, it's the equivalent of a guardianship, equivalent of a guardianship, equivalent of a guardianship.
And conspiracy theories and crazy stuff swirling around BAM. I would love to set the record straight. BAM has not ever been under a conservatorship.
Equivalent of a guardianship.
The temporary guardianship he was under did not ever have any financial implications.
Called an LPS conservatorship. It's the equivalent of a guardianship. We attempted to file an LPS conservatorship, but Amanda's public defender was overwhelmed with how many cases he had, so he never filed the documentation. These conservatorships are extremely difficult.
Okay, this clip right here is like one of the reasons why. So these clips right here are one of the reasons why I felt like I needed to just make this video with me talking. It's very unclear to me how Amanda ended up in the situation that she is in. I want to be very clear. I have no idea which one of these is the correct and accurate version of the story. And I want to also be clear, maybe all these are the same version of the story, but because this is a public investigation, I just want to compare and contrast some of the things that have been said about why Amanda wasn't actually ordered into a conservatorship. Now, Lima is the person who said all this stuff, so let's compare and contrast the things that Lima has said. This is back 2 years ago, September 25th, 2020. Lima and Larry are on Soft White Underbelly, and they are here to discuss court. They went to court this very day, according to them. And so let's hear what Lima has to say about why Amanda wasn't put into a conservatorship.
To get the issue with that was that we were not able to have communication between the jail and the doctor at the jail, but we had everything else on our end with a second doctor referring it.
She said we were not able to be in communication with the doctor at the jail. Now, some of y'all might be wondering why that is. I have no idea.
We attempted to file an LPS conservatorship, but Amanda's public defender was overwhelmed with how many cases he had, so he never filed the documentation.
So that's her story today, is that the public defender was overwhelmed and he never, quote, filed the documentation. So just a few days ago on Mark's channel, Lima said the reason Amanda didn't get put in a conservatorship is because the public defender didn't file the paperwork. What's the paperwork? I have no idea. But let's travel back in time about 2 years ago and see what else Lima said about why Amanda did not end up in a conservatorship, but instead they diverted to court-ordered treatment. If this feels confusing to y'all, it's because it is. Go watch all the videos, take your notes, and I would love more people to be investigating this along with me. You can do it. It's all publicly available, and the only thing you need are those videos. Let's hear what Lima has to say 2 years ago about why Amanda is not in a conservatorship. Now, this is the day she went to court.
These conservatorships are extremely difficult to get. The issue with that was that we were not able to have communication between the jail and the doctor at the jail, but we had everything else on our end with a second doctor referring it.
So they couldn't communicate with the doctor at the jail. Your guess is as good as mine as to why that may be. But for some reason, the doctor at the jail, according to Lima, would not communicate with her or couldn't get communications between the doctor and Lima. But Lima had a third doctor who was already ready to diagnose Amanda with something or something. I really don't know. Y'all heard it just like me. Let's let her continue.
And so Amanda has a public defender. As a public defender, they have so many clients that it's really hard for them to dedicate the time required to actually push something like that through. Because
to push something like that through. Y'all heard that? To push something like that through. Listen.
Hard for them to dedicate the time required to actually push something like that through because of the fact that we didn't have anything from the other end, which was the jail side. We weren't able to push the conservatorship through.
Mostly I left all this incoherent rambling in hopes that one of y'all will be able to figure out or help me figure out what exactly this lady is talking about. This is why I had to come on in person and just be like, maybe it's like nothing, but like it seems like there was a lot more going on than just like, oh, the public defender didn't file a paper. Like it seems like there was more going on. And this is just to show for informational purposes all the different things that have been said about these circumstances. Because on September 9th, 2022, she's talking about the reason they couldn't get a conservatorship was because the public defender didn't file paperwork.
We attempted to file an LPS conservatorship, but Amanda's public defender was overwhelmed with how many cases he had, so he never filed the documentation.
Then way back on September 25th, 2020, 2 years before, She's talking about not being able to talk to the clinician at the jail. She's talking about talking between the DA and the public defender. It's very confusing to me what even actually just happened, but I wanted to show y'all the two sort of not the same stories that she's telling about why she couldn't get a conservatorship. And maybe there's like some version of the truth in there somehow, some way. But to me personally, I'm very confused. And y'all comment below. I'm just confused. I mean, I'm not trying to say like, oh, here's a smoking gun. It's confusing to me what actually happened. And it just goes to show that Lima had the opportunity to clarify some already confusing points on Mark's video. But I kind of left that video feeling a little bit more confused because it was different information or not exactly the same information as she gave before. It's just a confusing situation. Okay. So moving on to kind of sort of the next point, but it's kind of related, is Lima comes on Mark's channel a few days ago to say she was never in a conservatorship. She was never in a guardianship. She was not under any health care proxy. But listen what she was saying 2 years ago whenever they were in the process of getting all this pushed through the courts.
And we diverted to put in a court order for Amanda to complete 1 year of treatment. So she risks that if she doesn't complete it, she goes back to jail. If she doesn't complete it, she goes back to jail. And so essentially we just applied to the court for a court order. So Amanda was never under guardianship. She was never under conservatorship. She didn't have any type of like healthcare directive, agent, or anything like that. We were going.
So this is another reason why I wanted to come on camera. She didn't have a conservatorship and she didn't have a guardianship and she didn't have a healthcare directive or anything like that. Although that is what they were going for. They failed in implementing it. So, or they diverted is the words they used. So what is a conservatorship, right? It's an assignment of someone's rights, civil and human rights and liberties, to another person. Now, these laws of conservatorships and guardianships are born of slavery. They came from slavery. If you look up slavery in the United States, you will see that the courts that were responsible for hearing the cases of enslaved people are the probate courts. And no, they were not hearing the rights of the enslaved people. They were hearing the rights of the property owners. Okay. So that is the history of those courts in this country. So Lima's on another, Lima's on Soft White Underbelly just, this week, last week. It's hard to keep up. What is time? I'm in the fifth dimension. Can't relate. But just a few days ago, she said on Mark's channel, she wasn't in a conservatorship. She wasn't in a guardianship. She wasn't under a healthcare directive, but they did try to get that. But what is a guardianship? What is a conservatorship? It's taking away someone's freedoms and liberties and giving them to someone else. So what you're going to hear Lima describe to you is 2 years ago, how she diverted from the conservatorship path to go to essentially the same path as a conservatorship. Don't take my word for it because I have the clips.
For an LPS conservatorship to ensure that we had power of attorney to make the decisions for Amanda. She didn't have any type of like healthcare directive, agent, or anything like that. She just had the court telling her like, you need to go. She had attacked her father, which was a felony because she attacked him with a weapon. And they were looking at either jail time for her. And so essentially we just applied to the court for.
So Lima just told y'all they tried to get a conservatorship. It didn't work. The reason they wanted to get a conservatorship was because they wanted to be able to make the health care decisions for Amanda.
For an LPS conservatorship to ensure that we had power of attorney to make the decisions for Amanda.
Let's hear what she had to say a few days ago.
So Amanda was never under guardianship. She was never under conservatorship. She didn't have any type of like healthcare directive, agent, or anything like that. We were going for an LPS conservatorship to ensure that we had power of attorney to make the decisions for Amanda. She didn't have any type of like healthcare directive, agent, or anything like that. She just had the court telling her like, you need to go. She had attacked her father, which was a felony because she attacked him with a weapon, and they were looking at either jail time for her.
So Lima's about to tell y'all that she proposed to the judge, instead of jail time, that Amanda should basically go into Lima's care. Let's see what Lima said 2 years ago about the circumstances about jail time versus conservatorship, or jail time versus court-ordered treatment.
That last day that I went to court, she was set to be released. And they were looking at either jail time for her. And so I just petitioned, like, this is not a criminal situation, it's a mental health situation. So we essentially just asked the judge if we cash paid her treatment and got her out of the system so she's not a burden on the system, would he be...
Y'all make note of the dog whistle buzzwords. So she's not a burden on the system. But didn't y'all just hear Lima say that Amanda was actually set to be released from jail? So how would she be a burden on the system? In my opinion, it's a dog whistle. So she's not a burden on the system. She was set to be released. She was set to be released. So all this stuff about a couple days ago, all this stuff about we petitioned for court-ordered treatment instead of jail time, that doesn't add up with she was set to be released. Let's watch a little bit more and see if we can parse through.
Willing to court-ordered treatment instead of jail time.
She would have been free for 10 days, right?
Not for 10 days. She would have been potentially released the last time I came. So that last day that I went to court, she was set to be released. And so I just petitioned, like, this is not a criminal situation, it's a mental health situation. So we essentially just asked the judge if we cash paid her treatment and got her out of the system so she's not a burden on the system. She was set to be released back onto the street because there were no other options for her. And so initially when speaking...
What does that mean? Because there were no other options for her other than her freedom? She had been in jail for at least a month and a half, might have been up to like 3 months. What does that mean? She was set to be released because there was no other options for her. I just want y'all to really, truly think about what she's talking about.
To the district attorney, I notified her that this was not Amanda's first time, which was already something that was known, and that
So Amanda was set to be released, and Lima spoke with the district attorney, who is the prosecutor on the case, right? That's the person who decides what to charge Amanda with. Now, Lima told us Amanda was set to be released. Mark Laita said she would have been out on the street for 10 days. Lima said, well, not necessarily. She was set to be released. And then Lima, you just heard her, and I encourage you to go watch the whole video. This one's from September 25th, 2020. So just type Lima, Amanda Rabb, soft white underbelly, September 25th, 2020, and this should pop up. Lima said Amanda was set to be released. And Lima said she went to talk to the district attorney. That's the prosecutor. That's the lawyer for the state. That's the person who's prosecuting Amanda with a crime. Lima, to Amanda, as far as Amanda's concerned, a complete stranger, not a family member, goes to the prosecutor and tells her this was not Amanda's first offense, and this was not her first 5150 or whatever. And listen what Lima's about to tell you.
She's in a very bad mental state. So based on that information is what made them shift gears. She was set to be released.
Hello?
And say that if we were willing to take responsibility, so basically myself, willing to ensure that I report everything to the courthouse and make sure that Amanda doesn't violate anything and ensure that she follows court order, that they would consider giving her a mandated 1-year plan, which would be the essential path of an LPS conservatorship. A mandated 1-year plan, which would be the essential path of an LPS conservatorship. So Amanda was never under guardianship. She was never under conservatorship.
She was never under guardianship or conservatorship, but it was the essential path of an LPS conservatorship. Y'all heard that? I mean, Lima said it, not me, right?
A mandated 1-year plan, which would be the essential path of an LPS conservatorship.
So, whatever that was about, y'all tell me in the comments below. But to me, it sounds like Lima said Amanda had served her jail time and was set to be released. And then Lima went and spoke to the district attorney, told her about Amanda's past convictions or past offenses, told her about Amanda's past mental state. Lima, not a doctor, not a licensed healthcare provider. She caused the prosecutor to change gears. What does that mean? Instead of letting Amanda free out on the streets, as Lima called it, Amanda was instead mandated into court-ordered treatment. Now, this is complicated even further when you consider the fact that the reason Amanda was in jail at all is because Mark Leta told Larry Rabb to call the police on Amanda. Now, listen, if somebody hits me with a pipe, I'm probably going to call the police. But what does Mark Leta have to do with this? And why was Larry Rabb calling Mark Leta to ask him whether to call the cops or not? If he was going to call the cops, why didn't he just call the cops? He had to call Mark Leta first. And when you put this whole story together, it starts to be a little bit of a bigger picture if you follow along.
Would he be willing to court order treatment instead of jail time?
Last week, early morning, you got to be at court 8:30. 8:30.
And Amanda's in jail.
She's in jail for an assault.
Assault on you.
On me. And she's expecting release. She's expecting release.
Hello?
So Amanda's very provocative. She's talking as she's coming in.
And you can't decide that she needs to go to rehab.
No,
she's an adult.
After the first 6 months, then she took 21 and said, no, remember, I'm an adult. So early morning, 8:30, she's been locked up now for a few weeks. She has a court date, but we have to petition to try to get conservatorship. And Miss Lima shows up and petitions. Her appearance and her presence made the difference, because I would have known what to say, but the way she presented it, it was so authentic, and they knew that this is for real. These are sponsored. These are people that's going to help my family, help Amanda.
Would he be willing to court order treatment instead of jail time? She was set to be released.
She's expecting release.
She was set to be released.
But to help Amanda will help the family.
Larry, tell me what happened in court last week.
Yeah, there she was, Miss Lima. She's coming to support us.
She was set to be released.
And after she talks to the DA and the public defender, we have Amanda's case. Second, like I said,
Lima is talking, according to Larry Rabb, to the DA, which is the prosecutor, and the public defender, which is Amanda's lawyer. Remember the one who didn't file the paperwork and didn't have the resources to push something like this through? Y'all remember that guy? So Lima is talking to both sides of the case, right? She's talking to the district attorney. She's talking to the district attorney. She's talking to Amanda's lawyer, the public defender. And so Lima's got all her ducks in a row, according to Larry Rabb. Let's see what happens next.
she was just coming out petitioning. Now, who makes this decision? Do I go home today? I have someplace else to live. I don't have to go to my... She had all of her presentation ready to go. She's expecting release. So the judge, he was very accommodating, but he let her know, did the attorney tell you, he's going to... Yes, the attorney admitted, yeah, I've told her what to expect. She's expecting release. And she said to him, he said to her, would she be up for long-term care? She's expecting release.
She was set to be released.
He said it at the end of his presentation, and she said yes.
Amanda chose the longer rehab.
She said yes, unequivocally. She just said yes.
Y'all are about to see why Amanda chose the longer rehab. Just buckle up. Just hold on.
And she chose the longer rehab as opposed to a shorter one. That's amazing.
She just said yes into the longer rehab.
Yeah, so she had the option of being released, a week ago when I was here.
Amanda Rabb had the option of being released. in September 2020. She was set to be released. According to Larry Rabb, she was expecting release and she came in with a presentation to present to the judge. But somehow, she agreed to stay in jail for an extra week and then agreed to go to court-ordered treatment. Well, that doesn't sound the same as court-ordered treatment instead of jail time. Because if she was set to be released, she wasn't choosing between jail time and court-ordered treatment. She was just simply agreeing to it somehow. Now, y'all know I have looked for the court documents surrounding this case. And y'all know, just like almost every other time whenever we need to get to the bottom of something, they are sealed. The Los Angeles Police Department will not even release the phone call or the police report from this incident. How they're using our institutions, our public servants, no idea. No idea what happened in court because it's all sealed. But it doesn't seem consistent to me that in September 2022, a few days ago, Lima said that she petitioned the court for court-ordered treatment instead of jail, whenever Amanda, according to both Lima and Larry, was set to be released from jail. How could the judge have ordered court-ordered treatment if Amanda was set to be released? How could the judge have ordered court-ordered treatment instead of jail if Amanda was set to be released from jail and in fact agreed to stay in jail a week longer than she was supposed to? Let's see what Lima has to say.
She was set to be released. And just, going back and having her own plan. Or at the end of the month, she could stay in jail and wait until another court date. And so they told her that I'm working with her father to help put her in a program and have a long-term plan for her.
Y'all might be wondering, like I was, why would Amanda agree to go with Lima? Why would she agree to go to a longer rehab? Why? Well, I can only speculate because none of these documents are public, that the reason was because Larry was vouching for Lima. Larry Rabb, whose apartment is being paid for by Lima for some reason, according to her. Larry Rabb, who now is working in the courts for Aura, Lima's company, he was talking on the phone to Amanda in jail like every day. He was vouching for Lima. So isn't it possible that Amanda Rabb agreed to go with Lima because Larry had vouched for Lima? Is it possible that Larry Rabb was talking to Amanda every day to kind of convince her that this was a good idea? Is it possible that there was some type of financial incentive for Larry? I don't know. Y'all tell me in the comments below.
She's expecting release.
She was set to be released. And if she would consider to stay in jail a little bit longer and postpone her court date, but they need her to say okay to not hold court that day so that they can review all of our paperwork, what the program is, which treatment center she would go to.
And yesterday she said, I'm so glad I called you today. She said, you really have a good rehab for me to go to? And I said, yes, this lady's the real deal, And she said, are you sure? I said, yes.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Amanda said on the phone with her dad. Are you sure you have a good place for me to go to? All the while, we have Lima sitting over here saying Amanda had to agree. Amanda had to agree to go to the rehab. So was it that Amanda had more jail or court-ordered rehab? Or is it the case that they were going to release Amanda back onto the streets? Lima went and talked to the district attorney, told her that Amanda was in a bad mental state, told her that Amanda had a history of past whatever behaviors. And then the district attorney changed course, changed path, whatever she said. and instead recommended to the judge that Amanda go to court-ordered treatment. But wait, there's more. Then that DA had to tell Lima, look, somebody's got to take responsibility for her. And Lima said, okay, yeah, we'll cash pay. But then what did Lima tell y'all just the other day? She had to take a loan out for that. She took a loan out to cash pay for Amanda's treatment, but only after she didn't raise enough money from Mark Lata's viewers. She said they only raised $1,500. They expected a lot more. She took financial responsibility for Amanda's care, and the DA changed course to put Amanda to suggest to the judge court-ordered treatment. Now, this is all speculation based on the evidence that we do have. It looks a lot more complicated than the judge was deciding between just jail and treatment. It looks like there was a lot of work that went into the back end to put the judge in a position where those were his choices or her choices.
And I said, yes, we have a good rehab for you to go into when you leave there. She's expecting release.
Don't forget, Larry Rabb works for Aura now. Lima told us she's paying for this man's apartment.
She was set to be released.
And she said, I'm so glad I called you today.
And they were looking at either jail time for her. Would he be willing to court-order treatment instead of jail time? She was set to be released. And so I just petitioned, like, this is not a criminal situation, it's a mental health situation.
She's expecting release.
So we essentially just asked the judge, would he be willing to court-order treatment instead of jail time? She was set to be released.
She's expecting release.
When speaking to the district attorney, I notified her that this was not Amanda's first time, which bad mental state. So based on that information, made them shift gears. She was set to be released and say that if we were willing to take responsibility, so basically myself, they would consider giving her a mandated 1-year plan, which would be the essential path of an LPS conservatorship. She was set to be released.
She's expecting release.
Would he be willing to court-order treatment instead of jail time?
I'm just going to let y'all marinate on all those clips. And marinate on this whole situation. What I can say for a fact, is that Lima said Amanda was set to be released. Amanda had an option to stay in jail for a week longer, and she agreed. What I can say for a fact is Larry Rabb admitted that he spoke to Amanda, vouching for Aura and the program and the rehab center. What I can say for a fact is Lima said she spoke with the district attorney. Amanda was set to be released. And she told the district attorney this was not Amanda's first time. And Amanda was in a bad mental state, which caused the district attorney, the prosecutor, to change gears. I don't really know what happened. I wasn't there. And most of these records are sealed. So I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure that you are subscribed to BJ Investigates because we have part 3 of Virtual Reality Hell coming out very soon. Facts ain't defamation. Love you, mean it. Okay, bye.